in that contraption called Nigeria. That's what I do here, to encourage them to make sure they stand firm and continue to demand for that which is right, which is self-determination. That is what we do here. We are not here to call for war or instigate violence. That is not what we do here. We come here to encourage people to stay fast, not to demonize anybody, not to attack any tribe or any religion. That is not what we do here. But we also come here to make it clear that those people that say we will not leave, they will not leave either. Those people who want to take our life, they will lose their own life too. Those who say we will not survive, they will not survive either. We don't come to make enemies, we come to make friends. But those who have made themselves enemy to the Biafran people mainly, we take them as our enemy. We didn't make them enemy. Those of them who have pronounced themselves enemy to the struggle, enemy to Biafran people, enemy to the restoration of Biafra, they are the enemy of this platform. And if you're one of them, prepare yourself. If you have a superior argument to make, feel free to click the join section. You click, I will bring you in, then you make your contribution. You make your contribution without insulting anybody. Not compulsory that you must agree with everything I say. You must not agree with everything I say. You can disagree with me. You can prove a point. You never can tell. You can win a soul. If you have a superior argument, feel free to come on. Come on and make your explanation and bring on your superior argument. Then we will listen to you. Is either the world will see how intelligent you are, or they will see how stupid you look. I am not the one to judge you. I am not going to judge you. Neither am I going to attack you or take you out. You are going to come by yourself. I take you in. You stay here. Say everything you have to say respectfully, without insulting anybody. I myself will not insult you. But the world will be the one to judge, because the whole world is watching to know how intelligent you are, or to know how stupid you sound. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic. Some of you must have seen most of you have seen the topic that I choose today. The topic I choose today is that how many times will something happen to you before you will learn your lesson? That is a question. The topic today is like a question. And this is a question that everybody needs to answer. If you are a Biafra, you are Ududua, you are from the Middle Belt, you are an indigenous person in that contraption called Nigeria, the question is for you. How many times will something happen to you before you learn your lesson? Most importantly, the question goes to every single Biafran that is watching me. Because we have to narrow it down to ourselves. We have to narrow it down to how many times will something happen to you before you will learn your lesson? That is the question. Some of us can remember, before I continue, some of us can remember there's an old story that we used to hear in those days. Story have been told so many times. I was told that story when I was a child. You told that story, a kind of all these fairy tales that have been told. They say tortoise called his children. Tortoise have three children, and when the tortoise brought the three children, he was asking the three children, because he wanted to hand over his palace. He wanted to hand over his inheritance to his children. Then he was asking the children. He asked the first one, how many times will something happen to you before you learn a lesson? That one say, if it happened 3 times, 2 times, the third one he learned a lesson. He asked the other one said that it will happen 2 times. When it happened the first one, the second one he learned the lesson. When it happened, he called it for the other one said that when something happened to him, at that very time that thing happened, that he learned a lesson and it will never happen again. It will not repeat itself again. And the man the tortoise decided to give his inheritance to that very one who said at the first instance that he will learn the lesson. Now the question is, you that is watching me, you that you call yourself a Biafran agitator, how many times will something happen to you before you learn your lesson? You that is in that contraption called Nigeria, you are from the southern part of Nigeria mainly, those of you from the southern part of Nigeria, how many times will something happen to you before you learn a lesson? From every indication, every single of those one Nigerians, every single of them, they want it to happen 1,000,000 times before they won't even learn their lesson. From the answer I have within me, even if you refuse to answer, those one Nigerians, mainly those one Nigerians who are supporting their election or whatever, these are the group of people who will allow events to happen millions of times without learning a lesson. Millions of times without learning a lesson. That is the kind of people we have in that contraption called Nigeria. Because let me tell you, there is nothing that is happening in that very contraption today that is a new thing. There is nothing that is a new thing. Everything that you see happening in that contraption called Nigeria are things that are repeating themselves. Just repetition. Just repetition. It will happen the first time, you will think it's a mistake, and you wait and see. What if it will happen again? It will happen again. You will still wait and see. It will happen again. You still be allowed. It will happen again. Doing the same thing over and over and again, and they want to expect change. You cannot have change anywhere. You cannot have it. If you are an indigenous person in that country called Nigeria, the question is for you: how many times will your life be taken? How many people do you need to lose in your own region before you know that you have to defend yourself? How many people do you need to lose in your own region before you know that you have to go back and begin to organize your region? Go back to your region. How many times will you be relegated to the background? How many times will you be denied your rights before you will know that this very contraption called Nigeria was not meant for you? Oluwa Fine Pikin, thank you so much for joining. Oganiru Biafra, welcome. How many times? This is a question that every one of us have to answer. I am asking this question because there is nothing that is new that is happening in that contraption called Nigeria. There is nothing happening today that is new. Is it the killing? Is it something new? The killing is not something new. But all of a sudden, you have accepted that killing as it has been happening in that contraption called Nigeria. All the ethnic groups, the Ududua people, the Biafran people, the Middle Beta, everyone they have accepted this same killing. But today, when you hear about killing, you think it's new. It is not new. It has been happening, but people have refused to do something. Now my question is easy. How many people more will they kill before you demand for your freedom? How many people more do you want to die? When this thing started, it started from the north. It started from the north. Lives of people were taken out. People's life were taken away from them. People's life were smoked away from them. It was happening in the north. This very terrorism that has overtaken the whole country, it was happening in the north. Our supreme leader, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, by his own self, was in London. So many of you saw the video. If you have not seen the video, go on Facebook, you will see the video where our supreme leader, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, was campaigning and protesting on behalf of the Northerners. Protesting on behalf of the one Nigeria, telling Nigerian government to go and protect the Nigerians in the north. Protect those one Nigerians in the north. Protect the northern Muslims, Christians. Protect the northern Muslims from the hand of terrorists. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was protesting, telling them to do something before it gets out of hand. Everybody kept quiet. The people from the southeast did not protest because it wasn't them. People from Ududua land didn't care to protest because it wasn't them. People from the middle belt, they didn't care because it wasn't them. Every state we are quiet, silent because it wasn't them. Then it was Borno. They were taking out the indigenous people in Borno. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was shouting and crying. Nobody listened. He protested in London for peace in that very contraption. Nobody listened. It continued. We were there. They narrowed it down to Kaduna. Kaduna Christians, Southern Kaduna Christians, were almost wiped away. Their village taken over. Good number of people were killed. Even their village was renamed. Up to today, as you are watching me, those villages have been taken over and renamed to the name of the Fulanis. Some villages, people were wiped away completely. There was no uproar anywhere. People in the southeast didn't protest. They kept silent. People in the southwest kept silent. People in the middle belt kept silent because it wasn't in their area. How many times will it happen before you know that you have to defend yourself? As it happened in Kaduna, they thought it was only the north. It's only north. They narrowed it down to the middle belt. Benue began to bleed. Benue began to bleed. They cried and cried until they lost tears. There was no shutdown of the whole country. There was no uproar everywhere. Benue were burying their dead. And people were going about as if it's something that is normal. I am saying all these things for you to know that there is nothing new. These are things that have been occurring over and over again. But somehow, when you see killing today, you think it started. It didn't start today. Benue cried and cried and cried until they lost tears. Until we saw Benue conducting mass burial. Who were committing those crimes? The same people, the same Fulani terrorists. The same Fulani terrorists, they were the people taking the life of people in Benue State. And other states, other regions relax because it's not in their area, they relax. It doesn't concern them. They thought it's going to end there. They came down to Enugu State. Enugu began to bleed. Enugu began to bleed. Enugu began to bleed. They kept silent. The people in that zoological republic, the one Nigeria, they kept silent. They didn't say anything. They didn't care because it has not affected them directly. They thought it's going to be only Enugu. They went to the southwest and people were driven from their hometown. Some of them are still living in the Republic as they're watching this video. Some are still in exile in the Republic. They took over their land and they have not returned up to today. And people in the southwest where we have elders, they still kept quiet as if nothing is happening. They did not react. Business as usual. They never learned the lesson. You thought it's going to stop at the southwest. In the southeast, they came there. They were taking life of people. You saw our women butchered. You see many people they have taken. The only man who stood up to them and made sure that they did not have effect in southeast the way they had in other places was Mazen Nandikano. Mazen Nandikano was the only man who learned the lesson from the very first time it happened. He learned his lesson and he began to prepare for the dangerous day that we are in today. Mazen Nandikano learned the lesson from the first experience and he began to prepare. He didn't wait for the second one to happen. He didn't wait for the second one to happen. He began to equip the Biafrans to defend themselves. And all hell break loose. When the Fulani Caliphate saw that Mazen Nandikano have laid the foundation of protection, they couldn't hold it. They couldn't hold it. They began to plan. They began to plan. Even with the people who are supposed to be with him, they began to plan. And they thought with all of it. It didn't end there. Today, they used their military to come to Biafra land and begin to invade Biafra land. And people kept silent. They are watching because it is not their land. After all, they are talking about the Igbos. After all, they are talking about the Biafrans. It doesn't concern you. You think it's going to end there. How many times will something happen before you learn your lesson? Ask yourself that question. Mainly the one Nigerianist. How many times will something happen before you learn your lesson? Everything that is happening today have happened in the past. Not once, not twice, not thrice. The invasion and the plan to Islamize Nigeria did not start today. It did not start today. This is not the first event. It has been happening a long time ago. From the northern part of Nigeria, I have lived in the north for more than 7 years. I lived in the north. In that period where I lived in the north, there was always attack on the Christians. There was always attack. Every time you hear about riots, most of you must have heard about Kaduna riot. You heard about Bauchi riot. You heard about Kano riot. You heard about Yola riot. So many riots you hear in the northern part of Nigeria, it was all against the Christians. It was all against the Christians. What are the intentions? To make sure that that religion is being Islamized. And today, when all those things were happening, people never learned their lesson. Including the Christians in that area, they didn't learn their lesson to protect themselves. They thought it was business as usual. They thought the attack was against the Igbo Biafrans living over there. They thought it was about the Igbo Biafrans living in the north. Because every time they come for an attack, the people they're going to face is to destroy the property of the Biafrans in the north. Every attack. It didn't start today. We didn't learn our lesson. With all those attacks, all those calls. Still, you see Biafrans going there to invest heavily. They never learned their lesson. Even from the civil war, Biafrans lost a whole lot. They lost a whole lot. Even to their own brother in Biafra, they lost a whole lot. Let alone the north. They lost a lot of property in the north. Even after all those losses, as they have known that they are not accepted in the land, still, you see them going there to invest and keeping things. How many times will something happen to you before you learn your lesson? When you see the way the Biafran people are behaving today, you will see that they have not learned their lesson. They haven't learned their lesson. They have not learned their lesson at all. So many people will never ever learn their lesson until when they get to their grave. Look at their politicians. Look at what is happening to the politicians. Every single politician you see in Biafra land, just as Mazen Nandikano have told them that if you serve the Janjaweed, you will come back in shame if you are not dead. That you are going to come back dead or you come back in shame. As long as you serve the Janjaweed, you're going to come back in shame. Check the record. Every single one of them who have served, where are they today? Every single one of them, where are they today? Where are they? What did they achieve for their people? Starting from Dr. Nandaskiwe, what did they achieve for the Igbos? The only thing he achieved for Igbos is this marginalization we are seeing today. The intimidation you are seeing today. The killing you are seeing today. That is what he achieved. The insecurity we are facing today. That is what he achieved. Narrow it down to other politicians. The recent politicians you can see. Is it Ojus Okalo? Ojus Okalo, after serving the caliphate and stealing his people, killing his people, including giving them land, giving these Fulanis land in Niger State. What happened at last? When they saw that it was time for the Biafra people to provide the leadership, what did they do? They started from Ojus Okalo. They made sure they rendered his CV useless. It was from jail in and jail out. And then he has to sign that he's not going to participate in any election. And they released him. As if that wasn't enough, the other ones didn't learn their lesson. They never learned their lesson. They were still watching, thinking that miracle is going to happen. If you can't learn a lesson, what about Okadibo? You saw how Okadibo died. All in the name of Nigeria. All in the name of Nigeria. You see how they killed Okadibo. That one is not enough. Did you see about what Elese Kweme went through? Did you see what Elese Kweme went through? Elese Kweme, who was the vice president of Buhari, to Shagari. Elese Kweme was supposed to be the president of Nigeria after Buhari, but what did they do? Instead of Elese Kweme to be the president, what did they do? They had to overthrow Buhari, Shagari. This same Buhari, this same late Muhammad Buhari, went and overthrew the person that Elese Kweme is supposed to take over from. Elese Kweme is supposed to be the president after Shagari. Because it was very clear. He was very, very more than qualified. He was very, very acceptable. But what did they do? Instead of Elese Kweme to be the president, this same Muhammad Buhari thwarted it. He went and plotted the coup. He plotted the coup and removed Elese Kweme. And not only that he removed Elese Kweme and Shagari, he took Shagari and put him under house arrest. And he took Kweme and put Kweme in Kirikiri, the vice president, who has no has no criminality in him. There's no crime that Elese Kweme has committed. His slates are very, very clean. But yet, this same Muhammad Buhari, because of his nepotic and the tribal bigotry, he took Elese Kweme and put him in Kirikiri, an innocent man. Meanwhile, he took Shagari, who is supposed to be held responsible as the leader of government, and put him in house arrest. As if that is not enough, let us come closer to the recent days. Let us come closer to the recent days. You saw the way they are. Okay, let us even go further. When our eternal leader, Dim Odumegwu came back, when our eternal leader, Dim Odumegwu came back, let me start from the very first time. Dim Odumegwu was in the military, and now he gave them a clean slate of the restructuring. He took them to Aburi because he doesn't want war. He wasn't looking for war. He took them to Aburi for a discussion. They went to Aburi and discussed. And what were they discussing in Aburi? Restructuring. You saw a video I posted that somebody mentioned that very thing in Arise TV. You saw the guy in Arise TV. That guy is doing a little bit well. You saw him mention about the chance that our eternal leader Dim Odumegwu gave to these very people to do restructuring in Aburi. They rejected it. Instead of restructuring, they brought debt to Biafra land, and we lost more than 5 million and still losing to today. As if that wasn't enough, when our eternal leader Dim Odumegwu came back to the country, in order to maintain peace and still see if there is possibility of making these people come back to their senses, he joined the NPN. What did they do? They still relegated him to the background. They relegated him to the background, made sure that he's irrelevant. Even when they tried to cajole him and force him to go into election, they tried to, when they wanted to destroy our eternal leader, finally they pushed him into an election. When our eternal leader Dim Odumegwu went into election, he could not even be able to win the Southeast. Somebody like Dim Odumegwu, a household name, could not be able to win the Southeast when he went to election. When it was clear that we are dealing with unrepentant soul, that these people have already drawn their own plan. They have drawn their plan that nobody in the southeastern region will be meaningful in that contraption. Our eternal leader went ahead and formed the ABGA. He left. He stood with the ABGA with intention to make sure that the agenda of the Biafrans is being carried forward. But at the end of the day, what do you see what became of ABGA? ABGA gave birth to a monster. ABGA gave birth to a monster. It is the same ABGA, when PW was there, that killed members of Mossab and threw them into the Osu River. Members of Biafra, people who were talking about Biafra, we are mowed down and killed. And PW is boasting about it today. He can't deny it anymore. He's boasting about it because of his ambition again. In that same ABGA, you saw somebody like the other clown that was there before, Obiano. Obiano, in that same ABGA, put a price in the life of Biafra that if you kill a Biafra man, the Fulani kill a Biafra man, they will pay 500,000. Then, when you kill the cow of Fulani, you pay 500,000. Obiano equal a cow with a Biafran person. In that same ABGA. As if that is not enough, you narrow it down to other politicians. Look at what they call Rochas Okorocha. Rochas Okorocha became a slave. He served only years. He served up to the extent that even when he make a speech in Hausa. He speaks Hausa more than any other person. Every of investment, when you hear about Rochas Foundation, Rochas Foundation is much more effective in the north. But when it comes to the time that election is going to come, what did they do? They chased him. They went to his house by force to arrest him. And that was when he remembered Chukwu Kadiama. He was praying and calling God. How many times will something happen to you before you learn a lesson? I am bringing all these things to remind you of where we are coming from, where you must not go back to. Even though I know there are some people who are willing to remain a slave for the rest of their life, but the majority of Biafrans don't want to be part of those nonsense. They don't want to be part of it anymore. How many times will things happen to you before you learn a lesson? So many things you are seeing today, when you see it, you think it didn't start today. It has happened over and over and over again. How many times will you tolerate this more? How long will you continue to tolerate what is happening now? But today, we have come to the end of the road. We have come to the end of the road. I thank Chukwu Kadiama, who gave Mazin Nandi the strength to do what he did by establishing the ESN. Today, we have a defense force that can protect you and I. All we need is to equip them. The deaths you are seeing didn't start today. The killings you are seeing didn't start today. All the evil you are seeing that is happening, they didn't start today. They have been there for a very long time. But people have been pretending that it doesn't exist. People have been pretending that they are not happening. But it is much more clearer today than it was yesterday. It is much more clearer today that the agenda of Islamization is real. The agenda of Islamization is real. But what are you going to do to protect yourself? What are you waiting for? And what you are still waiting for the day you're going to hear an announcement from Asarok that today, that from this time onwards, Nigeria becomes an Islamic state. For those of you who don't know, Nigeria is already a member of OIC. Nigeria is already a member of Islamic countries, whatever. Organization of Islamic countries. Nigeria is a member. And when you see things that are playing out today, you don't need a prophet to tell you that Boko Haram are in charge in Asarok. And they are doing everything possible to push forward the agenda. It doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what. They are pushing the agenda without looking forward, backward or sideways. This is a plan I've been coming for a very long time. And finally, they are at the finishing point. And that is why they will fight with everything they have. That is why we say they will win an election, because they want to use this very election to cement every evil the late Muhammad Buhari have put in place. They want to use the election to cement it, and they will now use you to put your signature and seal it. Anytime you talk about PVC or you promote election, you're actually promoting your own, you are promoting the Islamization of the Zoological Republic and the Fulanization of the Zoological Republic, this Islamization and Fulanization of that contraption called Nigeria. That's what you are doing. If nobody have told you that, you have heard it today. How many times will things happen to you before you learn your lesson? And some of you who are thinking that those one Nigerians who are saying that maybe we'll give P2B a chance, maybe we'll give it a chance. Do you think that P2B is much more smarter than Goodluck Jonathan? Do you think that P2B is smarter than Goodluck Jonathan? You think that Goodluck Jonathan doesn't mean well for his own people? You think it doesn't mean well for his own people? How many times will something happen to you before you learn your lesson? How many times have you seen these politicians come to make bogus promises? They make bogus promises, but when they get to work, they tell you that what they didn't know that was how it is. That what they were telling you, they were outside saying it, but now they didn't know that that's how it is. Do you think that P2B is going to use a different language? You are just being deceived, and you are covered because of some very good oratory that comes from his mouth and all the things that he's saying. But in practical, don't you ask yourself, don't you sit back and ask yourself, every single thing that P2B is talking, how is he going to implement it? How? Because he's not going to be the only person running the government. He's not going to be the only person running the government. There are a lot of people that are going to run the government with him. A whole lot of people. He won't be the only person running the government. And before he can be able to carry out any assignment or make sure that he passes any bill, a lot of people are going to vote into it. Have you ever asked yourself, who are those that are going to vote in favor of P2B and his agenda? If by any means he becomes the whatever they want him to be, which I know he will not. Have you asked yourself that question? How can you be doing the same thing over and over again and expect a change? It cannot happen. That is why we, the Biafran people, want to do things differently this time. We, the Biafran people, we want to do things differently because we are the game changer. Mazin Nandi can have given every damn opportunity that this Zoological Republic need to get it right. They did not. Our eternal leader, Dim Odumugojuku, gave them all the opportunities to get things right. They did not. Mazin Nandi came and gave them opportunities to get things right. They did not. In this era, that opportunities cannot come anymore. We cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again. We have called for no election before. Amazing Nandekano, because of this same P2B, decided to let us try him. We tried him and they failed. The Fulani Caliphate could not allow them. We spoke about no election in Anambra, and at the end of the day, some ignorant people connived and sold out, and they had the election. And after the election, what did you see? Election, the attack was against IPOB, against the Biafra struggle. Everything that P2B stands for today, what's it called? This President Anambra State governor. Everything that Soludo stands for today is against Biafra. He's fighting tooth and nail, including blackmail against Biafra, sponsoring all manner of blackmail against Biafra. And you are still waiting and thinking that somehow things are going to, miracle is going to happen and you get to see changes. There is no miracle anywhere that's going to happen. You are going to take the freedom by yourself, and you better be ready. We are going to do things differently this time. That is why we are saying there will be no election in there. This time it's not when you say there will be no election, later we call it off. There is nothing like call off. We are going to do something differently this time around. Let us stop that election and let heaven fall. Let there be a different thing. Even if it's a mistake, let us make that mistake and let us see what the result will be. We have tried one direction. We say there will be an election, later it's being called off. This time around, it will not be called off, and we want to see what the result will be. Even though we already know what the result will be. Already, we know what the result will be, but we want the people who are watching, those who are observers, those blackmailers, we want them to see what the result is going to be. That is why this time, it is not going to be, it's not going to be just talking about no election. There will be no election in Biafra land. No election in Biafra land. There will be no election in Biafra land. There will be no election in Biafra land. It doesn't matter how they try. It doesn't matter the propaganda you bring. There will be an election in Biafra land. is so sad. It is so sad the kind of mentality some people have. It is so sad the kind of mentality some people have. You know, sometimes you begin to, just like some people used to ask when they ask this issue of passport, they'll be asking you what passport are you using or what. The passport we are using, is just a traveling certificate. And anybody can obtain traveling certificate of any country. Once you meet the criteria, you can obtain traveling certificate of any country, not just Nigeria. You can obtain traveling certificate of any country in the world. You can obtain that certificate and travel with it. And as long as Biafra continue to remain under the occupation of this very contraption called Nigeria, we are going to be using them as a traveling certificate. And if you don't know, there are so many Biafrans that are stateless where they are. You that is arguing and talking about using a foreign passport. You that is arguing and talking about using so many people in that your zoological republic, so many people in that your contraption called Nigeria, include all your senators. All your senators from A to Z, go and check. Every one of them have an international passport. They have other countries' passports. If they don't have, their children have. Muhammad Buhari children, every one of them have other countries' passports. They are citizens of other places. You are there, misbehaving and treating yourself as a clown. Come out to click. What is your name? Your name is Charu. I don't even know the kind of name. You say RD Udo or whatever you call yourself. RD Udo, can you click and come in and make this your point? Let people see how intelligent you are. RD Udo, click the join section. Come out and make this point. Let's see how intelligent you are. I am here as a Biafran. If you don't know it here, I am here as a Biafran, not a Nigerian. Even though I use Nigerian traveling certificate, I am here as a Biafran. We have so many of us who are stateless where they are. And so many of us are not even using your Nigerian passport. We are using other countries' passport. Your senators, everybody that is those people you are campaigning for, all those people you are campaigning for, their children from A to Z, every single one of them have international passport. Every single one of them, all those you don't see join. That's how unintelligent you are. If you say you don't see where to join, it shows that you are not intelligent. You are not trying to show people how unintelligent you are. But it's sad. It's sad that I'm talking to somebody who is clueless and doesn't know what to do. People are coming here to make their opinion. There is a way to click. You click, I will bring you in. You come here, make your opinion, and people will see how smart you are. Why are you trying to let people know that you're not intelligent? If you want to join, there is a join there. This is a Facebook. You have been using Facebook. You didn't start today. You're supposed to know where to join. You click, I'll bring you in. You join. Don't tell me you don't know where to join. If you don't know where to join, you have no business being here or typing. You don't have. You shouldn't even know where to type. How did you come to know where to type and write on the comment section? If you don't know where to join for you to come out and speak your mind.
Are yet to wake up from your slumber or your sleep and get the point that we are exiting Nigeria. Exiting Nigeria is not going to come from the platter of golden plate. You have to sacrifice for it. And we are ready to sacrifice everything, including you, if you come and stand in the way of freedom. So you need to know how serious we are. We are damn serious. Some of you are not getting it. You think we are here to build political movement? We are here for freedom. Freedom comes with price. Okay? The only thing you can do is to comment on social media. Don't ever stand on the way of Biafra freedom. We'll crush you.
Their interest is suppressed. Biafra is the key. Once they can hold Biafra down, they can hold all of Africa down. Hey, freedom fighting, sorry. Because all these people are criminals. They are saying there is no way this man cannot be a criminal like themselves. They don't have a different breed altogether. They don't know that. I am Nnamdi Kanu. I don't do all this nonsense you do. My father was a very rich man, not ostentatious. I had the finest education that his money could afford. We are not poor. Have never been. That is why a poor man cannot be a freedom fighter. If you're not full of yourself, you cannot be a freedom fighter. Everywhere. We must continue.